Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Doonby, and we're going to begin a playthrough of the alpha testing for Project Me. In today's episode, we're going to get a feel for the mechanics of the game, such as character customization, and pretty much getting a glimpse of the storyline and the overall play and aspects of function. Since this is an alpha test, I'll be taking note of any glitches or in-game issues, and if you notice any, please let me know in the comments below. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so first we're going to discuss character customization. The character customization is pretty limited. You have 3 faces to choose from. I chose the default face. You have a few base skin colors, and you can toggle the hue so you can get the exact color you're looking for. And now there was actually a glitch earlier in the game during the first day of playing where the skin color you chose was not the skin color you ended up with. So as you can see in some of the gameplay and the footage, my character has fair skin, although I chose brown skin, like you see in this photo, for my character. However, the following morning, yesterday morning actually, the glitch was fixed, and now the skin color you choose will be the skin color you end up with in the actual gameplay. As far as body types is concerned, it's really just more so in regards to gender, male or female, and there was a glitch involving that as well, where in the opening video, when you're on your way traveling in a carriage to settlement number 7, you're a male, like the default male. And I was confused because I knew I had chosen a female, and I thought maybe there was a glitch where it reset, but that wasn't the case. So after the video finished and you actually landed in settlement number 7, I was back to being a female. The first character we meet is Lily. She will be your welcome committee as well as the one who gives you your first commission, and she's pretty much going to be your tour guide and the one going over the tutorials, like, for basic controls. So now we're going to read Miss Lily's story. Lily took over the local rest stop a couple years prior to the launch of the North Development Plan. With her adventurous spirit and extensive travel experiences in her younger days, it remains a mystery whether settling in settlement number 7 is a permanent decision or simply another chapter in her lifelong journey. I personally like Miss Lily. I have no problems with her. She's very helpful and resourceful, and she has a very calm, mild spirit, and I'm looking forward to exploring her character more and building up friendship with her. Right after we meet Miss Lily, the next person we will meet is Tia, and she is actually the reason why you get your first commission. So when she shows up, she's carrying a wheelbarrow, and, well, needless to say, she crashes it and it breaks and it busts all over the place. So Lily gives you your first commission, and your task is to fix the wheelbarrow. Now, Tia, for the time being, before you get there, assists Miss Lily at the rest shop, simply for the fact that that is the only building in town. However, when you progress a little bit in the game, between levels 1 and 2, you are able to start constructing buildings, and then you can construct the general store, and that will be where Tia resides. Okay, so let's read Tia's story. Tia dreams of expanding the general store in town into a shopping chain and is eager to welcome newcomers to town. Fueled by her dreams, she radiates enthusiasm and approaches each day with unwavering passion. And that's pretty much why I like Tia, because despite the hiccup at the beginning, she is still a really nice person. She's very resourceful and helpful, and I just pretty much just enjoy having her around. And just like Lily, I'm looking forward to expanding my friendship more with her and seeing what she's more about. Okay, so this next person, her name is either Pana, or Panna. Not gonna lie, when I first met her, I didn't really care much for her because she showed up out of nowhere with all the dramatics, and she introduced herself, but she did it in a way where I felt was pretty arrogant. She automatically went and threw Logan under the bus, and then made it clear that she feels she's better than him and that she's basically like the top tier monster hunter. And it was actually interesting because there will be a scene where Logan comes into town and they have a duel that basically she started, but he dodged the attack, and then she pretty much just ran off into the abyss somewhere. only to find out that she just pretty much ends up behind your farm somewhere, kind of sulking it out by the riverbank. So, yeah, I wasn't really too fond of her, but I think that her interaction with Logan when he first arrived into town kind of humbled her, so she pretty much, like, started calming down, and you got to see a little bit more of, like, what her personality is. She's a little bit on the vulnerable side like Tia, but she still pretty much tries to keep that tough persona, so that way, like, you won't see her in, like, this soft, flowery, weakened state. So yeah, Pana's not too bad. Kind of like her. Still have my reservations, but hopefully when she comes back, we'll see more of what her character is about. Okay, so after we level up, we get to open up the restaurant, and the head of that restaurant is Tess. So Tess comes to town with her son Pep, and the reason why they're there is because her husband is in part of the development plan, the North Development Plan, and she moved because she felt that it'd be best for her and her son to keep the family unit close together, so that way they can be closer to her husband. Okay, so now we're going to read her story. Tess is an excellent cook, and everyone who has tasted her food admires the delicious flavor she creates. However, her main challenge in daily life is getting her son Pep to eat his meals. Tess's husband works in the border area, so she decided to join the North Development Plan with Pep, hoping to be closer to her husband. I personally like Tess. She's cute, and she's very friendly, and I love the fact that she loves to cook for everybody. She also, actually, will be a grand opening for the restaurant, and she does offer everybody free meals, compliments to the chef. Now, I want to bring note to a particular glitch, and it pertains to her son Pep, as you see this little guy in this photo right here. For the longest time, he stands in town behind the bulletin board a little ways when you first go into town from your farm, but then out of nowhere he just disappeared. Doesn't appear on the map. I've checked every building, and he is literally nowhere to be found, so I have no idea where he is or what happened to him. But I'm assuming that is a glitch and not like a mission down the road, because when you talk to his mom, her dialogue doesn't change. It's always about how she's happy to be in town and how she has to get her son to stop being a picky eater. So I'm gonna pass it on to the devs, and hopefully that gets resolved. And like I said, I really hope that's not a mission down the road somewhere. This dapper looking fellow is Rudy. He will be in charge of the recruitment building and pretty much recruiting people to take on particular tasks within town. Here's his story. Rudy used to be a rich businessman in Atara, but he lost all his money when his company failed and his wife left him. Unable to afford living in Atara anymore, he had no choice but to join the North Development Plan. Thankfully, Rudy has an attitude of accepting whatever comes his way, and he is embracing his new life with a positive outlook. Rudy, basically, he's like a typical gentleman. Very kind, very kind. When I first met Rudy, I looked at him and I was like, wow, this guy clearly has money. When he said he came from Atara, it's known that Atara has money. But then after I got the chance to read his story, I saw, well, what you see is not always what you get. So learning that he lost all of his money and his wife, and that he had no choice but to move out here, made me actually feel sorry for him. But despite that, Rudy still works hard. He's just like Tia. May have like a few downfalls, but they still work hard to make sure that they provide their best. And Rudy is definitely a really nice guy. He's laid back. He doesn't really talk too much. Even when you talk to him, his dialogue is for the most part like a one-liner. I do want to make mention though that I think he may have feelings for Pana, because after her encounter with Logan, she runs off, and like I said, you find her behind the farm for a while. Even after, like, she's long gone, after she left, he still mentions that he hopes she's okay and that you pass on his regards to her. And he doesn't really talk about anybody else in town, so I think that it may be hinted that he has feelings for her. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that would be kind of like a nice dynamic for the two of them. Especially since his wife left him. I mean, he probably could use a good start over. Next, we're going to meet Snow. He is the first person that I recruited from the recruitment office, and he has somewhat of a sad backstory. Orphaned and left homeless at just 14, Snow has been aged by his circumstances prematurely. Surviving on the fringes, he hustles to make ends meet, taking on odd jobs for anyone willing to offer a helping hand. Education was a luxury he couldn't afford, yet his resilience kept him from straying down the wrong path. When he heard about the North Development Plan at work, he decided to try his luck at the borders and see what happens next. So, yeah, I felt really bad for him, and which is actually why I took him on, so he could pretty much like have a place to call home. And I decided to put him in the furniture store, and for the most part, he seems happy. And just like you'll see with most recruitments, he pretty much just have a generic dialogue, just pretty much saying hello and thanking you for allowing him to be in the settlement, and that he's pretty much just happy to be there. So it'd be great if he was like a main character, but I still think that it's nice that despite the fact that he's the side character, he still actually has like a birthday, a backstory, and actually has like stats and information on him, which to me makes it feel more real, and it actually adds to the community aspect. So I'm really happy with Snow. I really like his character a lot. Next is Logan. Okay, so with this guy, I feel like there's like a toss-up with him, because during the playthroughs I've seen of My Time at Sandrock, Logan just seems like the type of person who has like this mystique or like this mystery about him. Like, he's rugged, like he's serious, and maybe even a man of few words. But in this game, he appears to be laid back, like just not like a goofball, but just kind of like the opposite of his character. And the devs did state that they kind of gave him like a new story in this game, so he definitely is still like a monster hunter, but his personality, as far as that's concerned, I'm pretty sure they did change. And to give you an idea of what I mean about like Logan's character, he does send you a letter in the mail, and I'm going to read it. How's it going so far? Nailing it as a new gov? Howdy. So you settled in nicely, huh? I thought I'd drop you a line with some hot tips for thriving in northern Eufaula. Think of it as a friendly nudge. First, your workshop is your BFF. Want to grow your town? You gotta craft the right machines to pump out materials for your buildings. Strong infrastructure equals solid community. Second, build up your town to attract more peeps. After all, your restaurant needs a top chef to run the show, right? Last, want more money? Commissions are calling your name. Help out your border buddies and they'll happily repay the favor. I prepared some goals for you. Spend them wisely. Catch you later, Logan. Now that really threw me off, because from what I gather from My Time at Sandrock, nothing like this. This is your first interaction with Logan, this letter right here. And when I saw the part about the BFFs and the peeps, and then I saw his name at the bottom, that really threw me off. I really didn't get that. Yeah, that was definitely different. And he doesn't stay long, He mentions that there's like a monster that's like the size of a mountain, and then Pana goes to look, and then she comes back with a feather. And mind you, this is like, after she finished sulking behind her house. And pretty much they run off together to do the quest. So that pretty much takes care of those two characters. Next is Freya. She comes after Logan. So she's locked on the day 2 login bonus, and her character is pretty much someone who's sweet, humble, and just basically wants people to be happy. She will even leave you a fruit and veggie basket at your doorstep, and reveals that she does that for everyone in the settlement. And she also loves to give people flowers to make them feel happy, which I really think is nice. Freya spent her childhood on her family's farm with her grandparents. After moving to Highwind for her studies, she struggled to fully adjust to the city lifestyle. The news of her family farm being sold after her grandparents' passing left her heartbroken. When Freya discovers the opportunity to run a farm again through the North Development Plan, she eagerly applied. Like I said, I love Freya. She's very, very kind, and I feel bad that basically, she had to start over, which you'll actually find out with a lot of the characters, even the recruited characters, that they had to start over. Prime example is Ming Ming. Ming Ming is my second recruitment, and her story is just okay. So here it is. Ming Ming, a diehard fan of detective novels, has always aspired to be a forensic medical examiner. Despite her repeated failures, 8 times to be exact, on the qualifications exam, she persisted. Just as she was gearing up for her 9th attempt, her parents intervened, insisting that she learn independence and kicked her out of the house. Now at the borders, Ming Ming is determined to prove her self-sufficiency as her primary goal. When I first read this, I didn't mean to laugh. It's just, when you look at the other stories like Rudy losing his money and his wife, Freya losing her grandparents, and then Snow being orphaned at 14. Yeah, it was kind of like a sad, lighthearted, comical type story, and yeah, her parents were not having it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do feel bad for Ming Ming, but I think settlement number 7 will definitely give her the self-sufficient mindset that she's looking for. So we'll see pretty much where that goes. This little guy that you see in the rubble, his or her name is Piglet. So pretty much when you go out into the field after you leave town, you take a left and you see a pile of rocks, and then there's like a small cutscene where you go and see the pig and you promise to go get him out. In order to get him out, you have to use a pickaxe to pick through the rocks. And once you do that, he pretty much gets set free, and then he just runs away. Interestingly though, he actually does reappear, and he pretty much just stays on the outskirts of town. Okay, so I just got the farm built, and as you can see here, the outside is practically buried in grass. I'm not even sure really why that is, because even the pumpkins are buried, because if you look closely you can see where they're halfway there. And then when you go inside, it was completely covered in grass, and it was lopsided too, so you couldn't even see the floor and most of the furniture. However, I did end up relocating the building to a spot close by, and this is how it looks now. After moving the plot, now you can see the floor and practically all the furniture, although in some of the cracks you can see some grass sprouting up, but for the most part you're not going to get any better than that. This fellow is Divot. He actually spawned from the recruitment office. And from the looks of it, I'm assuming he's a marriage candidate, if that basically is incorporated in the alpha test. And the glitch with him is that I cannot talk to him at all. The only thing I can do is either send him a gift or leave. And there's no facility for him to practice at, and you'll understand when I read his story. Divot, a grumpy but reliable doctor, appears to be overqualified for position in a border settlement. It remains a mystery why he chooses to stay instead of pursuing a better job in the city, which might explain his constant slight annoyance. So yeah, I can't really do too much with this character because I can't even talk to him, so that's pretty much it for Divot. I like the way he looks though. And I've even went through the list of all the buildings that I can construct so far, and there's no medical facility or anything that comes remotely close to that, so he'll be idle for quite a bit, or I'll just probably end up just throwing him somewhere where I think he could be of use. And I don't know if this is a glitch or not, but this is pretty much the board I was referring to earlier when you had to choose between Logan and Panda to determine who was the best monster slayer, and they've been gone for about a while now, so I'm assuming that this should have been taken down. But I don't really know if that's a glitch or if that's just supposed to stay there, because it's also gonna come back around to some point in the story later on. In this scene you can see where it's nighttime, but then it'll quickly flash through the day cycle and then go back to night. I don't know why that is, and it's not really an issue as much, but it does need to get fixed for smoother gameplay, and it has been happening quite a bit. And it usually only happens during the nighttime, whether you're in a building or outside. And as far as any other major glitches, there hasn't really been too many. Sometimes characters will disappear, sometimes they'll just stand in random spots that they're not supposed to be in. Just pretty much run-of-the-mill things, or anything you can pretty much expect from an alpha test. And oh, this is Sharon, by the way. She's the neighborhood dog. this is where she stays, and you can literally find her here any time of day. But I would have to say though that the game overall is really fun to play. I really enjoyed the recruitment setup, how you can get new people in town. I like having to construct different things. I love exploring in this game. I mean, the scenery really is just beautiful. Like back there, I would love to get back there someday. Hopefully, during the alpha test, I can do that. And just like in Portia, and I'm sure in Sandrock, you can also fight monsters like the llama, for example. You can use them to get fine fur and rawhide, and they're all level 5. When you get further down, you'll come across some beavers and some overalls and construction hats, and you can get hardwood and regular wood from them. And it's just basically like just another way to collect resources. I kind of feel bad though, beating up the llamas and even the beavers, because the llamas, they're just hopping about peacefully, and the beavers, they're pretty much either looking like they're working or they're just sitting, just chilling in the grass. And now we're gonna get to my favorite part of the game, sightseeing. So there's a lot to look at here, and I decided to follow this road all the way out, and I am so glad I did, because look at this view. It's gorgeous, it's peaceful, and there is a lot more that came from. When you follow this road out, it doesn't just like stop at a certain point, it just keeps going. Like, it's really extensive, and there's a lot to see. I wish though that there was a lot to forage, since you came this far out here, but for the most part you can forage wood from the trees. You can also forage wood from bushes if you're able to chop them down. Up the hill you'll find the pan bats, and after defeating them they spawn hard leather. And since it takes a while to get out here, just make sure that any pan bat you see, just go ahead and just collect their hard leather, because it's going to be a hassle to have to come back and get more, because you're definitely going to need those for future projects, for like furniture, community boards. And since Tia for some reason requests a lot, you're going to need it. Now in this photo and in the coming photos, you'll see a lot of these ruins, like these alien type things. I'm not really sure what they're for, but they all have drawings on them, so it's obvious that people used to live out here at some point. And I kind of wonder if they have anything to do with the monster that Logan and Pana set off to find, because I remember Pana saying that she went to go check and some fueled her like a mountain, and then she came back with like this giant feather, and I wouldn't be surprised if she found it somewhere in this area. But overall, I have to say that definitely take the time to sightsee, because it is really gorgeous. Like over here, I'm at the top of the mountain above everything, so you can see a lot. And so pretty much for the rest of the video, we're just going to be looking at screenshots I took of that area. Like, you'll see the mountains, you'll probably see some waterfalls, but I have to say my favorite one would be the giant tree. And by the giant tree, it had crazy roots that actually extended downwards, and it was just like in this big open field. It was towards like, it was behind the ruins, but like a little bit like further away, almost like on like a cliff. And then you saw like another alien like replica thingy leaning against it, and it had like a light shining on it for some reason. There was like literally no light shining on anything else, but it was just like that top part. And that area over there is across the way. We haven't been there yet, because I think there's a bridge we have to fix in order to get over there. But I just liked being around the tree because I thought it was just really nice. The view was gorgeous, and this is how it looks actually in full when you step back a ways. And yeah, I am trapped in the grass. And that's a town down there. This was an abandoned building. It's a tall building actually, and I made the mistake of going all the way down. When you get towards the center, there is a treasure chest, as you can see, but it took me quite a while to get out because I had to navigate how to jump, because it may look like the branches are close to the ledges, but they weren't. Like, I literally spent an hour real time just trying to get out. And by the time I finally did get out, it was daybreak because, like I said, it took an hour to actually get out real time, but in game time, it took a few days. So I traveled out at the break of dawn, and then I was there game time a few days, and then by the time I got out, it was morning break. So yeah, I'll never go inside that building again unless there's a quest that pertains to it, but other than that, I will never go all the way down in there again. But it was a really nice trip and I enjoyed myself, and I'm looking forward to see what other areas I can explore once they open up. And hopefully I will be able to explore those areas in the alpha test. But for right now, I'm very satisfied with everything. There was quite a bit to cover, and I tried to get as much as I could in this one video. But for the most part, it really is a fun game, and I definitely recommend that when it comes out, that you give it a try. And hopefully, if they don't just keep it on mobile, they actually expand to other consoles, because this game has a lot of potential, and I really think that having it available for the console will be like a really good move. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.